the breakthrough in the Drake versus UMG, Universal Music Group. Has anybody found out about this? There's a breakthrough. But before we get into that, there's a very important topic that we need to touch on as we roll ourselves into this Drake versus UMG, aka Drake trying to have a war with Kendrick, but using UMG as the face of his enemyship. Let's look at a case. Let's go back in time and look at a case, right? Let's read. Luke Records versus Navarro, 1992. The 11th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals ruled that an album by the rap group 2 Live Crew was not legally obscene. The decision stands for the principle that music has serious artistic value and as such does not rise to the level of obscenity, even if it's filled with profanity and misogynistic language. Florida sheriff prevented 2 Live Crew. Okay, I want to get to the legal. Okay. Nasty as They Want to Be was protected by the First Amendment. It's not obscene. The 11th Circuit applied the U.S. Supreme Court's test for obscenity known as the Miller test from Miller versus California, 1973. The three-pronged test focuses on whether the work as a whole, under contemporary community standards, appeals to the prurient or shameful interest in sex, depicts sexual materials in a patently offensive way, and lacks serious literary, artistic, political, or scientific value. Sheriff offered no proof that the album was obscene. The 11th Circuit was troubled by the fact that the federal district court judge determined that the album was obscene himself without a jury. The appeals court also expressed concern that the sheriff at the district court level presented no proof of contemporary community standards, prurient interest, or serious artistic value. The only evidence the sheriff presented was the tape itself. On the other hand, Luke Records called 4 expert witnesses, including a psychologist, 2 music critics, and a Rhodes Scholar who testified to the artistic value of the music. The 11th Circuit relied on the testimony and noted that the sheriff presented no evidence to refute the expert testimony that the rap album had serious artistic value. A work cannot be held obscene unless each element of the Miller test has been met. The appeals court wrote, we reject the argument that simply by listening to the musical work, the judge could determine whether it had no serious artistic value. The reason I'm bringing this up is because this is about the First Amendment. Uncle Luke went to war with the sheriff's department. It went to the federal court, and he took it up to the federal appeals court. And they upheld that this music was not obscene. Now, I know some people are looking at it like, well, Drake's argument wasn't that it was obscene. But you got to be careful when you start to get into these legal battles about what can be said and what can make a person be liable for some type of punishment because of what they said in music. You are damaging these old things like this. This stuff will have to come back up. We got to look at all the First Amendment legal cases, right? Oh, this is an audio book. Okay, we have to go back and look at all of the First Amendment legal issues, legal cases, right? Now let's look at Drake's lawsuit. Or let's look at what they're saying. Drake's Not Like Us defamation suit against Universal Music Group is dismissed. This was dismissed yesterday, Thursday, October 9th in federal court. United States federal judge has dismissed the lawsuit brought on by Drake against Universal Music Group. By the way, it hasn't been to court yet. They haven't had any, trial. They dismissed this thing long before trial or anything like that. The rapper accused his own record company of defamation over its distribution and promotion of Kendrick Lamar's infamous Not Like Us diss track. District Judge Jeanette Vargas dismissed the suit on Thursday, citing Kendrick Lamar's track is a non-actionable opinion that is not considered defamatory. The fact that the recording was made in the midst of a rap battle is essential to assessing its impact on reasonable listener. Remember now, if y'all was watching during that YSL trial, I told y'all this word reasonable comes up a lot in law. Reasonable, meaning somebody that has context, somebody that has information, somebody that understands what they are looking at or listening to or reading or observing, right? Reasonable. That reasonable thing is very key in law. Let me read that sentence again. The fact that the recording was made in the midst of a rap battle is essential to assessing its impact on a reasonable listener, wrote Judge Vargas. And the judge must be a reasonable listener. They understand how rap battles go. Even apparent statements of fact may assume the character of statements of opinion when made in public debate, heated labor dispute, or other circumstances in which an audience may anticipate the use of epithets, fiery rhetoric, or hyperbole. Let me go back and read that again. Let me do that one more time because I stumbled through that. Even apparent statements of fact may assume the character of statements of opinion when made in public debate, heated labor dispute, or other circumstances in which an audience may anticipate the use of epithets, fiery rhetoric, or hyperbole. What does this mean? This means once we set the stage that we are entertaining or we are insulting each other, everything that is said from that point forward can be reasonably understood to be opinion, hyperbole, and just fiery rhetoric. We're not looking at this as fact. That's not what it is. Nobody in this circle is going to understand any of this stuff to be fact. Reasonable people are going to understand this to be fiery discourse that uses colorful language to describe the other person. Okay. All right. A spokesperson for UMG tells Variety, from the outset, this suit was an affront to all artists and their creative expression and never should have seen the light of day. You see that? An affront to all artists and their creative expression. That's First Amendment. We're pleased with the court's dismissal and look forward to continue our work successfully promoting Drake's music and investing in his career. That's the stupidest part about this whole thing. Drake is suing his own label and accusing them of promoting something to damage him when they make all their money off of him. So he's pretty much saying they're damaging their own profits and income for Kendrick, or he's trying to say to diminish his value. That's what he's saying. In a statement, Drake's representative said they intend to appeal today's ruling and we look forward to the Court of Appeals reviewing it. Drake filed his initial suit against UMG in January over Lamar's Not Like Us, claiming that the label intentionally engaged in defamation by promoting the song. Not Like Us arrived in May 2024 as the hardest strike in an intense rap battle that saw the pair throwing wild accusations at each other, including Lamar branding Drake as a certified pedophile. Although the accusation that the plaintiff is a pedophile is certainly a serious one, the broader context of a heated rap battle with incendiary language and offensive accusations hurled by both participants would not incline the reasonable listener to believe that Not Like Us imparts verifiable facts about plaintiff, writes the judge. This means this judge knows about rap. This judge knows about rap battles. This judge knows about diss tracks. This judge knows about these things and has put this in a very eloquent way. Although the accusation that plaintiff is a pedophile is certainly a serious one, the broader context of a heated rap battle with incendiary language and offensive accusations hurled by both participants would not incline the reasonable listener to believe that Not Like Us imparts verifiable facts about plaintiff. You know what this sounds like? Now, this is what the judge wrote. This sounds like a defense lawyer that is defending a rapper in a trial on their lyrics. This tells me this judge is not only a person that's familiar with rap, that judge is a fan of that song. That's what that tells me. That judge is not only telling Drake that you can't sue about it. The judge is telling Drake, shut up. Stop being a hoe. This is a rap battle. Get in the booth. That's what this judge is telling this person right here. This is what this is. This is how they, you know what I mean? I'm putting it in language that we all can understand, but this is what the judge is essentially saying. I'm a fan of rap. I actually like that song. You need to shut up. That's what I'm hearing. In March, UMG filed their motions to dismiss. Drake's legal counsel filed an amended complaint to focus on events that took place since the initial filing. Most notably, the filing called out UMG for knowingly negotiating and promoted Not Like Us via Lamar's Super Bowl performance and consented to the track being played at the 2025 Grammys, where it took home 5 Grammys. Drake, everybody's on the side of that song. You don't let it go. Counsel for the company retaliated by saying Drake's amended complaint removed obviously false factual allegations, adding that the new allegations are astonishing. So that's the end. Okay. So this is amazing that Like, just the way that the judge is defending that song tells me that, all right, so this is what they did, right? This is what the judge did. The judge dismissed this case in a way, right? Because, you know, when you appeal it and you take it up to the higher court is not there to really give their opinion on the actual case. The appeals court is there to look and see, did the judge make a mistake in their ruling? That's what the appeals court is. So now it's on Drake's legal team when they take this up to appeal. It's on them to now find some type of case law to support the fact that art or verbiage that's used in some type of verbal warfare has been used as considered defamatory in a lawsuit or in legal proceedings. Drake is going to have to go find that. Or not Drake, but, you know, his lawyers are going to have to find case law, because clearly they didn't have no case law for the first round of court. So now, like I said, the appeals court, their job is not to review the case in the facts of the case itself. Their job is to look at what the judge did and see, where did this judge make an error? We're appealing the or actually, I'm gonna have to go and see what grounds they're appealing on, right? So, but I'm from what I've known about appeals, there has to be some type of error somewhere here, right? Let me see what they're talking about. There got to be some type of error, right? Van said, toss Drake on his ass. You have to watch the type of mantra you put into the universe. Drake chanted, drop, 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 and Kendrick dropped. He said, talk about him like in Young Girls, and he did. Facts. Young Phil said, this is my thing, though, right? They admit the lyrics in court to convict Rico, but when it's a lawsuit, the lyrics are just opinions. Real. Lyrics used in Rico is often confessions or relatable to a criminal case. Like B will pop at your head and B fingerprints were found on the scene. Yeah, so Young Films, that's the difference, right? The lyrics themselves can't be used. But if the lyrics match up with something, like if you say Lil Woody pop at your noggin and somebody else is saying, I saw Woody shoot somebody, then now the lyrics are going to be used to kind of corroborate the evidence or the witness testimony. But they're not going to go into a court and that be the only evidence, right? Or it shouldn't be like that, right? And that's kind of how a lot of the YSL guys got off, because, or not got off, because they all took plea deals and whatever, but except two, or got convicted. But that's how a lot of them were able to smack the biggest pieces of their case, right? But so Drake is going to have to come back and prove that this lawyer did not understand. So this is the part right here that they're essentially going to have to show that the judge made a mistake, right? Even apparent statements of fact may assume the character of statements of opinion when made in public debate, heated labor dispute. See, the judge is even going to labor dispute, which goes back hundreds of years in this country. So that means they have the judge knows that, hey, this kind of thing has been done for many generations in this country when it comes to disputes. And people say things that are like, we're not really taking every single thing serious. We know when a serious statements of fact are being made. And when it comes to artistic expression, or when it comes to debates and arguments and things like that, that's not the time to pluck out things and hold it up to the light to see if it's factual or not. That's what this judge is saying right here. So I would be interested to find out at what point Drake's lawyers will be able to find what case in this nation, because you got to think about it. There are so many freedom of speech advocates on the legal side out here in this country. That's the reason why people are rarely held. The only time that if you'll get in trouble for what you say, like as far as defamation, if you straight up make a lie up and say it as it's true, like you're reporting it like it's news, right? If you're like, hey, Jimmy Smith just threw 3 toddlers off the top of a building, and that's just a flat out lie about Jimmy Smith. That's where you get, because it's not an argument. This is nothing like that. You just said something as if it was the news, as if you were reporting news, and it's just completely false, right? So it's really about how you frame what you're saying. All of Kendrick wasn't tweeting this stuff. He wasn't like on video just talking to a camera in an interview. He was rapping it. And when it comes to rapping, it is widely understood that rap is art. and that is freedom of speech. They can pretty much say what they want as long as they're not really confessing to a crime, right? They won't get in trouble for it. This is widely accepted information about the rap industry, right? So this is the part that Drake's lawyer is going to have to battle with. And if they don't, and I'm assuming, here's the thing. If there was case law for that, they would have put it in it would have been in the original filing. That would have been part of the original filing. Clearly, they thought that this was some unprecedented case, and it is, because it's not going to go forward. You're fighting against the First Amendment. Essentially, the reason I want to talk about Uncle Luke is because let's just say Drake gets a judge that will agree with his sentiments, right? If he gets a judge to agree, no, what Kendrick said can be taken as fact, and he can be held. It can be considered defamatory, right? Now we're getting into it where now you can stop people from saying things, even when in art forms. That's like saying, like, if I draw a picture right now and I put devil horns on George Bush, that's defamation. If what Drake is saying can go forward, like if Drake's lawsuit can go forward, these types of things don't just apply just to rap. They'll apply to art and expression, period. If they, just like how Uncle Luke, when he got that ruling, it didn't just apply to rap. It applied broadly to art, right? It's not considered obscene if it has high artistic value, right? Same thing here. If Drake wins this, it'll change laws or case law around freedom of speech. So he can't win this. What he's doing right now, not realizing what he's doing, is messing up freedom of expression, right? Because the base of his argument is there's defamation here. And UMG promoted defamation. This judge is saying UMG didn't promote defamation because rap lyrics can't be considered defamation, right? So I know I just repeated myself a whole bunch of times, but I'm trying to really drive it home that what Drake is playing a dangerous game right now. Him and his lawyers are playing a dangerous game, but think about it, they're Canadian. They don't care about the U.S. Constitution. They can go back to Canada and drop all the defamation they want, and they won't be held liable. Now, of course, we know some other countries, they don't care if it's art or not. They're not going for it. But America has the Constitution, First Amendment, all this type of stuff. So, and people have fought for freedom of expression for many, many, many years. So he can't, like, literally, he will screw the inside. People was trying to make it seem like Drake's lawsuit was going to change the industry for the better for artists. But really, his argument is anti-freedom of speech. And people are just completely glossing over that. You know what I mean? So let's see what Van said. Kendrick had reason to believe Drake liked young girls. State wouldn't be an issue with the girl being 17. On a federal level, he could be in trouble like R. Kelly. House of Brand said Drake is just throwing money away. Give it up, bro. You lost. My goodness, I agree. Like, let this go. This is not even a worthy fight. What are you trying to get?